Welcome to the Sky Commander Flight Brief. It's your mission-ready podcast for drone pilot training and aerial insights across Canada.
From Transport Canada rules to real-world drone ops, we break it down, take you higher, and help you earn your wings. Because here at skycommander.ca, we don't just fly.
It hints there's more to it. It's a masterclass, a deeper level, maybe a philosophy or a community focus, perhaps.
It's definitely intriguing, sets them apart from just, a basic tips show. Skycommander.ca is the obvious next step. Precisely. If you're thinking about flying a drone in Canada, boom, this content is aimed right at you.
Powered by skycommander.ca.
The elite podcast for Canada's drone pilot. Okay, let's get started. Imagine a world where drones aren't just buzzing around your backyard. Picture them miles away, like completely out of sight. Diligently inspecting a huge pipeline, or maybe surveying a sprawling landscape, or even standing silent guard over the critical infrastructure.
Yeah, it's a big shift.
The drone frontier in Canada, it's not just expanding, it feels like it's exploding.
Yeah.
And while for anyone serious about pushing the boundaries of what's possible, especially getting into that beyond visual line of sight territory, this deep dive is basically your essential field guide.
That's a good way to put it.
We're going to unravel the intricacies of Canada's brand new regulations for Level 1 Complex Beyond Visual Line of Sight, or BVLOS.
BVLOS, yeah.
And Extended Visual Line of Sight, that's EVLOS, operations. This isn't just about, acing an exam, trust me.
Oh, definitely.
It's about operating safely, legally, and with the kind of supreme confidence that really sets you apart in this rapidly evolving airspace.
Right. Our mission today is to cut through any jargon you might have heard, all the acronyms and technical terms, and really distill the absolute most critical nuggets of knowledge.
Okay.
We'll explore the foundational principles, we'll dive into the practical applications, and crucially, dissect the human factors. Those are paramount for successful and safe BVLOS and EVLOS operations.
Human factors, okay.
Think of this as your essential roadmap. We're here to equip you with maybe some surprising facts, definitely clear insights, and the deep understanding you need to confidently navigate this exciting new frontier.
And to do that, we've pulled together, an incredible stack of sources for this deep dive. We're talking Transport Canada's official guidelines.
The primary source, yeah.
Those Ace the Exam cheat sheets that training academies swear by.
Those can be handy.
Real-world pilot field guides, advanced skill drills, and even insights directly from leading drone education institutions. We're going to extract the absolute best, most actionable information for you so you can walk away feeling well-informed and ready to fly.
It sounds like a plan. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this. The first crucial detail to lock into your memory, if you're considering Level 1 Complex or EVLOS operations, is the timeline.
Yes, the dates are critical.
It's not like a sudden flip of a switch, but a very deliberate two-phase rollout orchestrated by Transport Canada. But this phased approach, it's more than just a schedule, isn't it? There's a deeper purpose here. Right?
There absolutely is. And what's truly insightful about this phased approach, something you might not immediately grasp, is that Transport Canada isn't just giving you time.
Okay.
They're subtly, maybe not so subtly, forcing a crucial cultural shift within the industry.
Yeah.
Make sure that getting certified isn't seen as the finish line.
Right. It's just the start.
But merely the first step in building a truly robust, safety-first operational infrastructure. It prevents, a chaotic, premature scaling that could lead to incidents.
That makes sense. Protects everyone.
Exactly. Protecting both the public and the operators themselves is a very calculated, very strategic move.
So let's nail down those dates then. The first crucial date you need to know is April 1st, 2025. April 1st. This is when you can legally take that Level 1 Complex exam and, importantly, apply for your RPAS Operator Certificate, or RPOC.
Right, the RPOC.
So you can get certified as a pilot, and your company can get its official license to operate approved, but, and this is the key part, you can't actually fly routine BVLOS under these new regulations just yet.
Not yet.
It's a critical preparation phase.
Precisely. This initial phase, it's all about establishing a robust foundation. It's basically Transport Canada saying, show us you've built the entire infrastructure first.
Okay, prove it.
Yeah, prove it. They want to ensure pilots are thoroughly qualified, that operators have their comprehensive manuals, the training programs, meticulous records all in place. It prevents that mad dash into operations without adequate groundwork.
Safeguarding everyone, like you said.
Exactly. Safeguarding both the public and the operators themselves.
Then, the big one. Mark your calendars for November 4, 2025.
November 4th. That's the key operational date.
This is the day operations for BVLOS, EVLOS, and what they call sheltered operations officially become legal. But here's where it gets really interesting and probably often trips people up.
Yeah, this is a common point of confusion.
Until that November 4th date, any BVLOS operation in Canada still requires a special flight operations certificate for RPAS, the SFOC.
That's right. The SFOC doesn't just disappear on April 1st for BVLOS.
So you might pass your level 1 complex exam on April 1st, have your shiny new RPOC, but you still need that SFOC to fly BVLOS until November 4th. Why? Why the lag? Why this specific gap?
That gap is an absolutely vital detail, and it's designed to allow the entire ecosystem to mature. Think about it.
Okay.
Manufacturers need time to declare compliance to new standards. Training providers need to refine their curricula based on real-world feedback, maybe. And operators need to fully integrate these new processes and systems before routine operations commence.
Right. Get everything aligned.
It's a strategic buffer. And this is a key date to avoid what's often called the date trap in exams.
Ah, the date trap.
But more importantly, it's crucial for real-world operational planning. Understanding this two-phase rollout, it informs your training schedule, your RPOC application timeline, and critically precisely when you can legally begin flying under these new privileges without needing an SFOC.
Okay.
It's an essential piece of knowledge for any aspiring BVLOS operator, and frankly, maybe a bit of a trick question if you're not paying close attention.
So, timeline etched into our memories. Let's get our definition straight now. These aren't just acronyms to memorize for an exam. They represent entirely new ways of flying, managing drone operations.
Completely.
Think of them as the foundational pillars of this new regulatory framework, each with its own specific set of rules and, profound responsibilities.
You're absolutely right. These definitions are far from academic. They are the bedrock of compliance and safety. They clearly delineate the operational boundaries and, critically, the associated responsibilities. Misinterpreting even a subtle nuance, like the difference between EVLOS and BVLOS geometry, can lead to significant operational and legal pitfalls. A minor deviation can render an operation non-compliant or even unsafe. Precision here is everything.
So let's start with BVLOS, beyond visual line of sight. Now, we all kind of know what BVLOS means in general, flying when you can't see the drone, but how do the new rules specifically define it in a way that impacts our operations day to day?
Okay, so under these new regulations, BVLOS specifically means flying when neither the remote pilot nor a visual observer, a VO, maintains continuous unaided visual contact with the aircraft.
Unaided, okay.
Unaided. So your situational awareness then relies entirely on approved mitigations. These can include sophisticated detect and avoid, or DA systems.
DAA, right.
Strategically positioned visual observers actively surveilling the airspace, robust communications protocols, and clear, predefined operational procedures. Now, under the 2025 reforms, lower-risk BVLOS operations fall under this new category, Level 1 complex.
Level 1 complex.
And this comes with specific limits. You must operate in uncontrolled airspace only.
Only Class G.
Only Class G. At or below 400 feet. Above ground level, AGL.
No.
You need to maintain a crucial standoff distance from airports and aerodromes and adhere to precise population proximity rules.
Okay.
And to conduct Level 1 complex BVLOS, you'll need a pilot certificate, specifically the Level 1 complex one, and your organization needs that RPAS operator certificate, the RPOC.
So it's about being vigilant in using systems, your crew, your tech. They become your eyes out there because your own aren't directly on the drone anymore.
Exactly. It's a fundamental shift in perception and reliance. A really big mental shift for pilots used to VLOS.
Next up, we have EVLOS, Extended Visual Line of Sight. This one always strikes me as a bit of a hybrid, kind of in between.
EVLOS is a fascinating bridge operation. It's what you might call a short-range, almost BVLOS scenario. The pilot still can't see the aircraft unaided.
Still can't see it.
But a trained visual observer, the VO, provides continuous assistance, maintaining that crucial visual contact within very tight range limits.
Ah, okay. So the VO is key here.
Absolutely key. It's not full BVLOS, but it definitely pushes beyond traditional visual line of sight, or VLOS. It's designed to give advanced pilots expanded capabilities without needing the full leap to Level 1 complex certification and the RPOC.
And the regulatory context for EVLOS is quite specific then.
Very specific. It's a new privilege for those already holding an advanced certificate, so you don't necessarily need the Level 1 complex add-on for this one.
Okay, good distinction.
But it is limited to uncontrolled airspace. It absolutely requires a trained VO. And here's the really crucial part, the defining feature. The aircraft must remain within 2 nautical miles. That's about 3.6 kilometers of the pilot, the VO, and the control station.
Wow, okay. Not just 2 NM from you, the pilot, but from all 3 points simultaneously. That's a really strict spatial requirement, like a bubble.
Exactly, a 2 NM bubble around all 3. That hard geometry limit is precisely what distinguishes BVLOS. It's designed to ensure rapid intervention capability if something goes wrong, leveraging the VO's proximity and direct communication with the pilot to address potential conflicts or hazards immediately.
A very specific bubble of operation, then, demanding meticulous planning and adherence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You stray outside that bubble, even slightly, and you're no longer operating under BVLOS rules.
Okay. And finally, the RPOC, the RPAS operator certificate. This sounds like the big corporate stamp of approval, the organizational license.
That's a good way to think about it. The RPOC is, in essence, your company's or your individual's license to conduct these more complex drone operations, specifically Level 1 BVLOS.
Right.
From a regulatory perspective, it's required for Level 1 complex operations under CARS Part 9X Division 12. Now, to get an RPOC, you need several key things. A comprehensive operations manual.
The big binder.
Well, hopefully, a living digital document. But yes, it's a detailed document outlining all operational procedures, clear roles and responsibilities, normal and emergency procedures, communication protocols. You also need a robust training program documented for all crew members, not just pilots, remember.
VO's mission commanders.
Exactly. VO's mission commanders, maintenance staff, covering initial and recurrent training. Thirdly, meticulous records. Pilot qualifications, training completion, flight logs, maintenance logs, safety incidents. Everything needs to be tracked.
Proof.
Proof, exactly. And crucially, the entire RPOC structure, the manuals, the training, the records, must be proportional to the complexity and scale of the operations you're actually conducting.
For sure.
Examiners will absolutely scrutinize this. They love questions like, show me where that's in your manual. It's not a dusty binder. It's a living document that guides every aspect of your operation and proves your commitment to safety.
So a great memory for RPOC could be rules, procedures, ops, compliance. It's your organizational playbook. Showing Transport Canada, you have everything buttoned up.
That works. It's your documented safety case, essentially.
And as you've just highlighted, these definitions, they weren't academic at all. They dictate your entire operational framework. Everything from the certificates you need to where and how you can fly. Knowing the nuanced differences, especially between BVLOS and Level 1 complex BVLOS, is just paramount to staying legal and, well, safe.
Couldn't agree more. Precision matters.
This all sounds like a massive overhaul, a really significant shift. So the big question, why? Why all these new categories and rules now? What was the driving force behind this? It didn't just appear out of thin air, did it?
No, not at all. And this is where we connect the dots to the bigger picture. And it's actually a fascinating story of industry growth, innovation, and a really pragmatic approach to risk management.
Okay.
The evolution from a system that relied almost entirely on SFOCs to these standardized frameworks, it's a direct response to a burgeoning industry. It's about creating a predictable, repeatable, and above all, safe environment for advanced drone operations to really flourish at scale.
Before 2019, it was pretty much SFOCs for anything complex, right?
Pretty much. Prior to 2019, anything beyond basic hobby flying, and especially anything remotely like BVLOS, was handled through that Special Flight Operations Certificate for RPAS, the SFOAC.
Yeah.
It's purely a case-by-case approval system.
So if I wanted to do something even slightly complex, like inspecting a bridge just outside of visual range, I had to submit a custom application every single time. That sounds like a monumental bottleneck, not just for operators, but for Transport Canada, too.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
While the SFOC system was, and still is, effective for truly novel and inherently high-risk operations, it became a huge administrative burden. It just wasn't scalable for a rapidly growing commercial drone sector.
Right.
And human factors controls things like specifying how many visual observers you need, the communication protocols, fatigue limits that are often embedded within these custom SFOC conditions rather than in a unified standardized rule set. It was rigorous, yes, but it definitely inhibited the routine, scalable growth the industry needed. Lots of companies were stuck waiting for approvals.
Then 2019 happened. CARS Part 9 landed.
Exactly. CARS Part 9 standardized visual line of sight, or VLOS, operations nationwide. That was a game changer for basic and advanced flights, dramatically reducing the SFOC volume for many common drone applications. But
BVLOS was still mostly SFOC territory.
largely, yes. BVLOS, the really advanced stuff, mostly remained in SFOC territory, keeping its human factors piece fragmented and often ad hoc. It was only a partial solution to the scalability problem.
So where did the specific rules for Level 1 complex come from?
The real groundwork for these new rules was laid between roughly 2019 and 2024. During this period, Transport Canada and Navic Canada actively conducted numerous BVLOS and remotely piloted aircraft system traffic management RTM, sometimes called UTM trials.
Okay, the trials.
And these weren't just theoretical exercises in a lab. They were hands-on, real-world tests focusing on everything from detect and avoid DAA performance.
How well the tech worked.
Yeah, how well the tech worked, communication latency issues, observer effectiveness, how well can a VO actually see things, and a wide array of operational procedures in diverse environments.
So these trials were essentially the ultimate field tests for the very human factors topics we're digging into today, like how crews interact with tech and each other when the drone is truly out of sight.
Precisely. The lessons learned from these extensive real-world trials directly informed the development of the new regulations. They codified expectations around multi-crew procedures, the best ways to maintain situational awareness at a distance, and how to effectively manage communication latency. Those are the critical inputs that shape the specific human factors considerations now so heavily embedded in the new rules.
A direct line from practical experience to the rulebook.
Absolutely. It's a direct lineage from practical experience to codified safety. So the 2025 reforms, with their carefully crafted two-phase rollout, they formalize Level 1 complex operations. This entire move is driven by the desire for routine, scalable BVLOS operations without the SFOC bottleneck.
Getting rid of that bottleneck.
But critically, only where risk is demonstrably lower and can be effectively managed through standardized procedures. The reforms convert those trial lessons, those hard-won insights, into human latency, observer performance, multi-crew roles, communications discipline into the standard procedures and training requirements that you'll now be examined on and that will govern your daily operations.
So this isn't just bureaucracy creating new rules for the sake of it. It's a direct, intelligent response to real-world operational experience and a strategic move to allow the drone industry to grow safely and efficiently by standardizing what actually works.
Exactly. It standardizes the knowns.
This historical lens, it isn't just about dates. It's about revealing the hidden costs of that old, reactive, ad hoc approach and the profound shift in thinking that now underpins every BVLOS rule. The why here is a surprising lesson in how real-world trial and error shaped a system designed to anticipate the unexpected.
Well said. Understanding the why helps make sense of the what.
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit in our minds. It's November 4, 2025. The day has arrived. You're ready to embrace routine Level 1 complex BVLOS. What exactly do you need, both as a pilot and maybe as an operator and organization, to make this reality? What are the absolute non-negotiables to even get off the ground legally?
Right. These requirements are meticulously designed, and they're there to ensure a high level of competency and organizational oversight. It's not just about an individual pilot's skill, though that's crucial. It's about a systematic, institutional approach to safety that accounts for the inherent complexities and, frankly, the increased risks of BVLOS operations.
Okay.
Transport Canada is looking for a comprehensive safety culture, demonstrated through process and documentation.
So for the pilot first, what does the individual need?
For the pilot, the individual requirements are quite clear. You must be at least 18 years old. No surprise there.
Standard?
Standard. You absolutely must hold an advanced pilot certificate and successfully pass the Level 1 complex written exam.
So it's not a pick one or the other scenario, is it? You need both. For someone who's already got their advanced certificate, what's maybe the biggest hurdle they typically face in bridging that knowledge gap to Level 1 complex? Is it just more rules?
That's a great question. Often the biggest hurdle isn't just the new technical knowledge, though there's certainly plenty of that, but it's the fundamental shift in operational mindset.
Okay.
Moving from VLOS, where you rely primarily on your eyes, to BVLOS, where you're fundamentally reliant on systems, instruments, and crew communication. That demands a whole new way of thinking about situational awareness.
Trusting the tech and the team.
Exactly. Building on the foundation, you'll need to complete a minimum of 20 hours of ground school, specifically for Level 1 complex.
20 hours. Oh.
This extensive ground school ensures a deep theoretical understanding of complex operations, including advanced airspace concepts, more detailed meteorology, and critically, those human factors we keep mentioning, topics that become even more salient when the aircraft is miles away, out of sight. And finally, you must successfully pass a Level 1 complex flight review. practical assessment.
This is where you really put that knowledge to the test, right? Demonstrating practical proficiency under the new standards, showing you can apply that ground school understanding in a real-world simulated or actual flight scenario.
Basically proving your operational capability.
Exactly. It's the practical check. And it's worth noting that while practical flight training before the review is technically optional,
Optional? Really?
technically, yes, but our sources strongly suggest it. It's about building muscle memory and confidence, especially when transitioning from BVLOS to BVLOS simulations where you're relying solely on instrumentation and crew communication to maintain situational awareness.
Makes sense. Practice makes perfect.
This transition requires a significant mental shift, and robust practice helps ingrain those new habits, reducing the learning curve and, more importantly, the stress during your actual review. You want to be comfortable in that environment. Okay, so that covers the pilot. But beyond the individual pilot, there's that crucial organizational layer. This is where your RPAS operator certificate, the RPOC, comes in, acting as your company's formal approval to conduct these complex operations.
Right. The RPOC is where safety truly becomes institutionalized. It demonstrates that the operator, as an organization, has the entire structure, the necessary resources, and the robust processes to manage the inherent risks of BVLOS operations systematically.
More than just one good pilot.
Way more. It includes demonstrating a commitment to a comprehensive safety management system through meticulous documentation and continuous training for everyone involved.
So what are the core RPOC elements? What do you absolutely need?
The core elements required for an RPOC are quite specific. First, that comprehensive operations manual. Think of this not as a dry binder, but as the very DNA of your drone operation. It's Transport Canada saying, show us you've thought of everything. It's a detailed document outlining all operational procedures, clear roles and responsibilities for all crew, normal operating procedures, emergency procedures, communication protocols. It's your operational Bible.
Got it.
Secondly, a robust training program. This must be documented for all crew members, not just pilots. Initial and recurrent training for VOs, mission commanders, even maintenance staff.
Everyone involved.
Everyone. Thirdly, meticulous records. Pilot qualifications, training completion, flight logs, maintenance activities, any safety incidents. These records aren't just for compliance checks, they're for your own continuous improvement.
Learning from mistakes or near misses.
Exactly. And finally, the entire RPOC structure, the manuals, training records, must be proportional to the complexity and scale of the operations you're conducting. A small outfit doing simple pipeline patrols needs a different level of detail than a large company flying multiple complex missions daily.
Makes sense. Scaled appropriately.
But examiners will absolutely scrutinize this proportionality. As I mentioned, they love questions like, show me where that's in your manual. This isn't just a paper tiger. It's a living document that guides every aspect of your operation and demonstrably proves your commitment to safety.
So it's not enough to say you will do something. You need to show that it's documented, trained, consistently applied, and regularly reviewed. These really are the non-negotiables.
Absolutely.
If you're looking to operate Level 1 complex BVLOS, you'll need to meticulously meet both the pilot and organizational requirements, ensuring every single aspect is documented and followed to the letter.
That's the standard. No shortcuts.
Okay, certificates in hand, RPOC approved, you're finally ready to fly. But now where? Where can you actually take your drone under these new Level 1 complex BVLOS rules? What are the precise boundaries of your operational envelope? The sandbox, if you will.
Right. The where is just as critical as the who and what. These operational limits are specifically designed to manage risk, ensuring Level 1 complex BVLOS stays within a lower risk envelope, well away from higher traffic areas and sensitive populations.
Keeping things manageable initially.
Exactly. Adhering to these limits is non-negotiable for compliance, and examiners will absolutely test your knowledge here, probably with tricky scenarios.
Okay, lay them out for us.
Okay. Once these regulations are live on November 4, 2025, Level 1 complex BVLOS operations are strictly restricted to uncontrolled airspace only. That's Class G airspace.
So no venturing into controlled airspace, Class C, D, etc. under Level 1 complex. That's a hard boundary you absolutely cannot cross. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Precisely. No exceptions under Level 1 complex. This limitation significantly reduces the complexity of air traffic management and minimizes potential conflict with ATC-managed manned aircraft. It allows these routine BVLOS operations to mature in a more predictable environment first.
Makes sense. Start simple. What about altitude?
The altitude limit is equally strict. Less than or equal to 400 feet AGL. above ground level. That's approximately 122 meters.
Keep it low. This is a clear altitude ceiling for Level 1 complex operations, leaving absolutely no room for ambiguity or interpretation. 400 feet is the limit.
Right. This limit further separates Level 1 BVLOS from typical low-altitude manned traffic patterns, providing a crucial vertical buffer for safety. It's a key mitigation against mid-air collision risk.
Okay, uncontrolled airspace, below 400 feet AGL. What else?
Additionally, you must operate away from airports and aerodromes. The rules will specify exact distances, but the intent here is clear. Prevent conflicts with traditional aviation, particularly during critical phases of flight, like takeoffs and landings, which are highly dynamic and involve specific, often unpredictable, traffic patterns. Stay clear of airport environments.
Got it. Avoid the busy hubs. What about flying near people?
Yes. Very strict population rules, often referred to as standoff distances. For small and medium drones, this typically means operating at least 1 kilometer away from what Transport Canada defines as populated areas.
1 kilometer buffer, that's significant.
It is. Now, small drones may have limited allowances near or over sparsely populated areas, but this is a specific carve-out and requires very careful assessment and documented justification in your planning. You can't just assume it's okay.
So you can't just fly over a city center or even a bustling town. There are clear, non-negotiable rules about how far you need to be from people on the ground.
Absolutely. These standoff distances are crucial for managing ground risk, the risk of something happening to people or property if the drone fails.
How do they define populated?
Good question. To be very specific, Transport Canada defines an unpopulated area as having fewer than 5 people per square kilometer.
Okay, very sparse.
And sparsely populated as having more than 5 but less than 25 people per square kilometer. Anything denser than that is generally considered populated and requires that 1 kilometer standoff for Level 1 complex.
Got it.
If you're ever unsure in a scenario, the conservative default is always to increase your standoff distance and double-check your designated airspace classification and any active NOTAMs.
Better safe than sorry.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
These limits, Class G, under 400 feet, away from airports, away from populated areas, they define your entire operational strategy for Level 1 complex. Any deviation, no matter how small it seems, could immediately push your operation out of these parameters, potentially requiring an SFOC or even leading to serious regulatory violations. Precision and conservatism are paramount here.
We've talked about when Level 1 complex is live and where you can fly within its limits, but here's a crucial point that I imagine could easily trip someone up, especially someone excited about the new rules. Even after November 4th, 2025, not all BVLOS operations automatically fall under Level 1 complex, right? What are the scenarios where you still need that old SFOC, the Special Flight Operations Certificate?
This is a really important distinction, and it's definitely a potential trap in exams, but even more vital for real-world operational planning. Level 1 complex is specifically designed for lower-risk BVLOS operations that fit neatly within that very well-defined envelope we just discussed.
The specific sandbox.
Exactly. Any higher complexity cases, those that push beyond the clearly defined limits of Level 1, will absolutely still require an SFOC RPAS, just as they do today.
Right.
The SFOC isn't going away for complex stuff.
So what kind of operations still need an SFOC RPS after Novo 4th? Give us some examples.
Okay, firstly, high complexity cases. Examples would include BVLOS operations near aerodromes, even after November 4th.
Yeah.
That proximity introduces significant and dynamic interaction with manned aircraft traffic, pushing it beyond Level 1 risk.
Okay, near airport still SFOC.
Generally, yes. Also, operating a medium drone in adverse weather conditions, or maybe missions involving certain types of payloads that inherently introduce higher risk than hazmat transport, or maybe certain types of sensitive surveillance equipment. Those would also typically fall into the SFOC category.
Payload risk matters too.
Absolutely. Secondly, and more simply, if your operation cannot meet any of the Level 1 complex non-negotiables we just listed.
Altitude, airspace, population.
Right. For instance, if you need to fly above 400 feet AGL for your mission, or you need to operate within controlled airspace, or you simply cannot maintain the required population standoff distances for your route, then your operation immediately reverts to needing an SFOC.
It's not an option. It's a regulatory requirement. You don't fit the box. You need the SFOC.
That's the rule. You can't just wish it into Level 1 complex. You have to qualify for it based on the specific operational parameters.
So it's definitely not a blanket. All BVLOS is now Level 1. You have to be incredibly careful not to overgeneralize and assume your mission automatically qualifies just because it's BVLOS.
Precisely. The regulatory framework is tiered for a reason. Level 1 complex streamlines those lower-risk, more standardized operations, but the SFOC remains the crucial pathway for novel, higher-risk, or non-standard BVLOS activities. It's essential to classify your operation correctly every single time.
Any other surprises?
Well, here's an interesting detail that often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Even micro drones, the sub-250 ones,
The little guys.
operating at advertised events like concerts or festivals, will require an SFOC post-November 4, 2025, whereas previously, under certain conditions, they did not.
Huh. Even for the micros at events. Why the change?
It highlights the evolving understanding of ground risk, especially concerning operations over crowds or gatherings. Even a small drone presents a risk in that context.
Good to know. So the key takeaway, don't get caught in the trap of assuming level 1 complex covers everything BVLOS. Always assess your specific mission against the specific limits, if in doubt.
Assume you need an SFOC, or modify your operation to fit within level 1 parameters. That conservative approach is always the safest and most compliant path forward.
All right, let's zoom in now on BVLOS extended visual line of sight. Our sources describe it as short range, almost BVLOS. What exactly does that mean in practice, and what truly makes it distinct from the level 1 complex BVLOS we just spent so much time dissecting? Where's the line?
BVLOS is a critical bridge operation. It really is a stepping stone. It expands the operational envelope beyond traditional VLOS, but crucially maintains a higher degree of visual oversight than full BVLOS.
How?
Primarily through the use of a dedicated visual observer, the VO. It allows for a gradual progression into more advanced operations without requiring the full regulatory burden of level 1 complex BVLs. You don't need the RPOC, for example.
Oh.
So it's not a shortcut, but it is a different pathway with its own specific rules.
Okay, so for advanced pilot certificate holders, what are the key characteristics of BVLOS? What defines it?
Okay, like level 1 complex BVLOS, EVLOS operations are restricted to uncontrolled airspace only. Class G again.
Class G only.
Got it. You must also maintain a distance of greater than 30 meters from bystanders. That's the general public not directly involved in your operation. 30 meters minimum.
Okay.
Crucially, EVLOS requires a trained visual observer, VO, who holds an RPA pilot certificate themselves.
The VO needs a certificate too.
Yes. This trained VO is absolutely key. They are the primary eyes on the airspace, maintaining continuous unaided visual contact with the aircraft when the pilot cannot, and providing critical real-time information back to the pilot.
Okay, so the VO is the link, and then there's that really strict geometry limit that seems to be the absolute linchpin of BVLOS.
Indeed. This is the defining feature, the thing you have to remember about BVLOS. The aircraft must remain within 2 nautical miles, 3.6 kilometers, of the pilot and the VO and the control station simultaneously.
That 2NM bubble is absolutely crucial. It's not 2NM from just you, the pilot, but from all 3 points.
Yeah.
Pilot, observer, and control station. That's a really strict spatial requirement that demands constant attention and monitoring.
Absolutely. That hard geometry limit is what fundamentally distinguishes EVLOS from BVLOS. It's designed to ensure rapid intervention capability should a situation arise, leveraging the VO's proximity and direct communication with the pilot to address any potential conflicts or hazards immediately. That bubble is the safety mitigation.
So BVLOS offers expanded capabilities for advanced pilots without requiring a level 1 complex cert or an RPOC. But from what you're saying, its strict geometry and VO requirements demand meticulous planning and execution to ensure compliance. Any deviation, like pushing that bubble just slightly, can render the entire operation illegal instantly.
Absolutely. The nuance matters enormously here. There's no wiggle room on that 2NM limit.
Which brings us to something our sources highlight. They call it the BVLOS trap, or almost BVLOS. What is this, and why is it such a critical error that operators need to be really vigilant about? It sounds like a common pitfall, maybe easy to fall into.
The almost BVLOS trap is a classic human factors pitfall, and one that examiners absolutely love to test,
Right.
because it reveals a deeper understanding, or maybe a lack thereof, of strict regulatory compliance.
Okay.
It's when operators assume they're within BVLOS limits, maybe due to automation complacency, trusting the map on the screen too much, or slight miscalculation, or simply feeling mission pressure to keep going. But in reality, they've actually exceeded that hard geometry boundary of 2 nautical miles from the pilot, VO, and control station.
So let's paint a picture. Imagine this scenario. You're out doing a mapping job near a rural hamlet. planning an BVLOS flight with one VO. Your tablet shows the next pre-planned leg pushes the aircraft just slightly over the limit, say 2.2 nm from the VO. It's just a little bit over, right? A mere 0.2 nm. The temptation might be to just let it run, finish the line. What happens then?
And that, right there, is the moment of truth, the decision point, and the precise scenario where the trap lies. The temptation might be strong to proceed, thinking it's only a little bit over, or it'll be fine, we're still close enough, the VO can probably still see it.
Yeah, rationalize it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is a direct, unambiguous violation of the BVLOS regulatory limits. The correct action in that instant is non-negotiable. You must stop the operation. Pause the mission.
Stop. Okay. Then what?
Then you have two clear compliant options. First, you can physically reposition the VO. Move your visual observer to a new spot where they can ensure the aircraft remains within the EVLO-NM limit to the remainder of the flight plan.
Okay, move the VO, option one.
Option one. Or second, you can reclassify the operation as level 1 BVLOS. But, and this is a critical but, you can only do this if your pilot certificate, you need the level 1 complex cert, your organization's RPOC, you need one, and the specific rate itself fully meet all level 1 complex BVLOS prerequisites and limits we discussed earlier, the airspace altitude population rules.
You can't just declare it BVLOS, you have to qualify for it, right then and there.
Precisely. You can't just wish it into BVLOS compliance. You have to actually be compliant with all those stricter BVLOS rules.
So our sources nailed it. BVLOS is not a vibe, it's a hard geometry. You can't just almost make it work or bend the rules slightly because it's convenient. It's a very binary situation. You're either in or you're out.
Exactly. There's absolutely no room for close enough in regulatory compliance. The 2 nm limit is a non-negotiable regulatory line in the sand. Failing to adhere to it immediately takes you out of BVLOS privileges and potentially into non-compliance, with all the associated legal and safety consequences. This highlights the absolute importance of precise pre-flight planning, including meticulous geometry checks using proper tools and rigorous crew cross-checks during the mission. Automation, like a flight pass nicely displayed on a tablet, can sometimes mask these subtle violations if you're not actively looking for them. So critical thinking and strict adherence to defined limits are crucial for safe and legal BVLOS operations. It comes down to discipline and procedure.
When you're flying an unseen aircraft miles away, relying so heavily on systems, on data links, on a tightly knit team, the human element isn't just important, it becomes absolutely paramount, doesn't it?
Paramount is the right word, maybe even the weakest link if not managed properly.
Our sources repeatedly stress fitness of crew. What exactly does that entail when we're operating at this advanced level, where a split-second decision, potentially based on indirect information, can literally mean the difference between success and, well, disaster?
You've hit on perhaps the most critical aspect of complex operations. Human performance is a safety-critical input, perhaps even more so in complex BVLOS operations, where you lack that direct visual feedback loop.
Right.
CARS 901.19 is the regulatory cornerstone here. It's a specific rule. But it's really about embedding a deeply ingrained culture of self-assessment and crew welfare within your entire operation. It has to be part of the culture.
Not just a rule to follow, but a way of operating.
Exactly. And you will be asked about this directly in exams because it's absolutely non-negotiable for safety. Transport Canada takes it very seriously.
So what does CARS 901.19 actually say?
It lays down very clear, unambiguous rules. No acting as a crew member if you are fatigued or otherwise unfit to perform your duties safely. Full stop.
Right.
No consuming alcohol within 12 hours of acting as a crew member.
The classic bottle to throttle rule.
Classic, yes. And absolutely no taking impairing drugs or substances, prescription or otherwise, that could affect your judgment, your reaction time, your decision-making.
That 12-hour bottle to throttle rule for alcohol, it's such a fundamental aviation safety mantra. It's low-hanging exam fruit you absolutely must know, but more importantly, it's a fundamental safety principle drilled into every pilot, manned or unmanned, for decades.
Absolutely. And to aid in this crucial self-assessment, not just for alcohol, but for everything else, we use the MSAFE plus H mnemonic. It's a great tool.
MSAFE plus H. Break that down for us.
Sure. It stands for illness, are you feeling unwell? Medication, are you taking anything that could impair you, even over-the-counter stuff? Stress, dealing with significant life stressors. Work pressure. Alcohol, remembering that 12-hour rule. Fatigue, are you genuinely well rested? And the Act Plus H is a great, more modern addition for eating hydration. Are you properly fueled and hydrated?
Okay, so it's comprehensive.
It is. And this isn't just a static checklist you tick off once. It's a dynamic reflight assessment for every crew member every single day. Think of it as your personal mission readiness check. Crew fitness directly impacts judgment, reaction time, vigilance, all of which are amplified in complex BVLOS operations, where margins for error can be much tighter and the consequences of a mistake more severe.
Your personal fitness isn't just about you anymore.
Exactly. It directly impacts mission safety for the entire team and potentially the public below. Proactive self-assessment using IMSAFE plus H and ensuring your entire team does the same is a fundamental part of responsible BVLOS operations. You cannot let schedule pressure or eagerness override these crucial safety checks. Culture of safety first.
Okay, fitness checked. Now, the big challenge. If you can't see the drone and you can't always see the airspace around it with your own eyes, how on earth do you build a clear, comprehensive picture of what's happening out there?
Yeah.
How do you maintain situational awareness essay at a distance, preventing that dangerous picture decay where you slowly lose track of reality?
This is the absolute essence of BVLOS situational awareness. You don't get that single, intuitive God's eye view from the ground anymore.
Right, you're removed.
You're removed. Instead, you build a comprehensive mental picture by meticulously layering information from diverse sources. And critically, you do it in a specific, methodical order. This ensures no critical detail is missed. And it's the systematic approach that Transport Canada absolutely expects you to demonstrate.
Okay, so there's an order to it. What are the layers and what's the sequence?
Let's walk through these layers of SA in the order you should check them, because the sequence truly matters for building that robust picture. First, always first, you consult the DAH, Designated Airspace Handbook.
So your absolute first stop. This tells you what the permanent airspace designations are. Restricted areas, advisory areas, Class F airspace. What's consistently there, day in and day out, unchanged.
Exactly. The DAH gives you the strategic, unchanging airspace status. It helps you immediately identify where you absolutely cannot operate or where you can only operate under very specific, predefined conditions. Think of the mnemonic we heard. Don't assume hazards always. Always check the DAH first for the baseline airspace structure.
Okay, DAH first. What's layer 2?
Next, you add the VNC, Visual Navigation Charts, 1.500,000 scale layer.
So after establishing the permanent airspace rules from the DAH, we then add the geography layer. This isn't just about airspace boundaries. It's about the actual terrain, potential obstacles like towers or wind turbines, and the physical geometry of your planned route. Right?
Precisely. VNCs provide that crucial route geometry. They show you obstacles, significant elevation changes, the shape of the land. This is absolutely essential for planning things like contingency escape routes, should you need them, and ensuring obstacle clearance for any pre-programmed fail-safe profiles your drone might fly automatically.
Like a lost link return to home path.
Exactly. You need to make sure that path is clear of terrain and obstacles. A good mnemonic here is visual, not close-ups. It's for understanding the broader regional picture, the physical context.
Okay, DAH, then VNC. What's next?
Then, and this is dynamic, needing checks right before flight and potentially monitoring during, you integrate NOTAMs, Notice to Airman missions.
And these are those pop-up hazards, the temporary stuff that can change everything on a given day, like a new flight restriction, maybe unannounced parachute activity nearby, or an unexpected forest fire, TFR. These sound critical.
They are absolutely critical. NOTAMs cover temporary flight restrictions, TFRs, unannounced parachute activity, pop-up wildfire zones, unexpected airfield closures or runway work, things that aren't on the permanent charts. These are highly dynamic and require constant vigilance right up to the moment of launch, and you need a system to check for updates even during the mission itself. The mnemonic, Notice of Trouble, Airman missions.
DAH, VNC, NOTAMs. What else builds the picture?
Following these core airspace and temporary checks, you integrate weather. Always crucial for flight planning, performance limitations, and even crew performance things, wind shear potential, visibility for VOs, potential heat stress affecting the crew.
Weather, always key.
Then, telemetry. This is the real-time data streaming back from the drone itself. It's precise GPS position, altitude, track, ground speed, the quality of your command and control link SNR, battery voltage, and percentage remaining, and the status of any geofences you've set up.
The drone's own status report.
Exactly. Then you have your VO calls, the dynamic traffic calls, like that TDA format we'll discuss, and obstacle reports coming from your visual observers on the ground. They're your human sensors.
Real-time human eyes.
Right. And finally, you have your geobarriers STS, flight termination system. These represent your pre-programmed operational boundaries, your electronic fences, and your emergency termination systems. They're your ultimate technological safety nets.
So it really is like building a complex puzzle piece by piece, starting from the big static picture of airspace and terrain, then layering in the temporary changes like NOTAMs and weather, and finally adding the real-time dynamic details from the drone's telemetry and your human observers.
And critically, it's about that order. Starting with the DAH, then VNC, then NOTAMs. Building SA systematically from these layers ensures you're identifying and mitigating risks in a logical, comprehensive manner, from strategic down to tactical. This systematic approach is precisely what Transport Canada expects you to demonstrate.
This layered approach, then, is your primary defense against picture decay. That insidious, gradual erosion of situational awareness that can happen so easily when you can't physically see the aircraft directly for long periods.
Exactly. Mastering this sequence ensures you're always operating with the most complete and current understanding of your environment possible. It keeps you engaged.
BVLOS isn't a solo sport, you emphasize that. Not by a long shot. It's a fundamental team effort, often with multiple crew members, pilot, VOs, maybe a mission commander. So how do you ensure everyone on that crew is singing from the exact same hymn sheet? Perfectly synchronized, especially when time is critical and the aircraft could be miles away. How do you prevent chaos or miscommunication from creeping in?
Multi-crew discipline is absolutely foundational to safe BVLOS operations. You can't wing it. It involves clearly defined roles for everyone, standardized communication protocols using the same language every time, and robust, rehearsed procedures for things like transfers of authority or handling emergencies.
Okay.
This minimizes ambiguity, prevents those dangerous Swiss cheese errors. Remember, that's when multiple small, seemingly insignificant failures or communication breakdowns line up, creating a gap for a major incident to slip through. This discipline is particularly vital during high workload phases or critical moments of the flight.
So what are the key components of this discipline?
One of the key elements is standard phraseology, specifically using calls like the TDA call format for visual observers reporting traffic.
Our sources emphasize specific VO call formats. What is the TDA call, and why is it so incredibly effective in quickly conveying critical information without unnecessary chatter or confusion?
The TDA call is a highly efficient, standardized way for a visual observer to convey critical traffic information to the pilot in command, PIC. It compresses all the essential decision-making information into a very concise, actionable format, leaving absolutely no room for guesswork or interpretation under pressure.
Okay, TDA breakdown.
It breaks down like this. T stands for traffic. Identify its clock position relative to the drone and the type of aircraft, if possible, e.g. traffic, 2 o'clock, light aircraft.
Yeah.
D stands for distance altitude. How far away is it? And it would approximate altitude. For example, 2NM, 700 AGL. And crucially, A stands for action. This is a suggested escape maneuver based on the VO's perspective. For example, recommend turn right to heading 090, descend to 300 feet.
So it's not just a generic, hey, I see something over there. It's super specific. Traffic, 2 o'clock, 2NM, 700 AGL. Recommend turn right to 090, descend to 300. That's incredibly clear, concise, and provides immediate actionable guidance for the pilot. It cuts straight to the chase.
Exactly. This structured communication significantly reduces the cognitive load for the pilot, especially when seconds count, and allows them to make rapid, informed decisions. It's about providing solutions or at least clear recommendations, not just observations. It's a hallmark of a professional, disciplined crew.
Makes sense. Beyond the initial call, you mentioned readbacks and handovers.
Yes. Beyond the initial call, readbacks and closed-loop handovers are equally critical components for preventing miscommunication and ensuring clarity.
It's not enough for the VO to just say it. The pilot needs to confirm they heard it and understood it correctly. That's where readbacks come in, right? To close that communication loop and prevent assumptions.
Absolutely. Readbacks are mandatory in professional crews to prevent expectation bias, hearing what you expect to hear, and to confirm comprehension. Absolutely. They effectively close the communication loop, ensuring the pilot's understanding precisely matches the VO's transmission.
So the pilot would say,
A pilot readback example would be, copy that. Traffic 2 o'clock, 2NM, 700 AGL, turning right 090, descending 300. This confirms both the traffic information received and the pilot's intended action and response. Clear confirmation.
okay. And for handing over control, say, between two pilots swapping shifts or maybe changing which VO is primary, there's a specific closed-loop procedure for that too. Not just a casual, hey, you got it, or a silent swap where someone just takes the controls without saying anything. I imagine that could lead to immense confusion about who's actually flying the aircraft.
You're spot on. Handovers are critical windows for error, potential points of failure, especially in complex operations. A formal, verbal, closed-loop handover ensures unambiguous transfer and acceptance of control and responsibility. There's never a question of who is PIC.
What does that procedure sound like?
The procedure is explicit and verbal and should be documented in your ops manual. Typically, PICA states clearly, transferring control to PICB. PICB responds affirmatively. I have the aircraft confirm control. The mission commander, MC, if present, then confirms, handover complete, log time. And the VO acknowledge awareness, control, confirm sectors clear.
Very formal, very clear.
It has to be. This procedure is documented in your ops manual and should never happen during dynamic phases of flight like turns, climbs, descents, or dealing with an emergency. It's all about absolute clarity of authority, preventing a Swiss cheese error where uncertainty about who's in command leads to inaction or incorrect action. No ambiguity allowed.
Okay, that covers high action moments. But what about the opposite? What happens on those long, quiet legs of a mission where, for minutes on end, maybe nothing is happening? How do you prevent complacency, that dangerous drift where attention wanders, and maintain that critical situational awareness? I can imagine the human brain starting to tune out after a while.
That's a huge risk. Those quiet legs are paradoxically dangerous, precisely because they can lead to picture decay, that gradual, insidious erosion of situational awareness when things seem calm. Your mental model of the situation gets stale.
So what's the antidote? How do you fight that?
The antidote is a structured, timed SA cadence. This deliberately converts a period of calm into structured vigilance, forcing regular checks. We call it the 90-second SA cadence drill.
90 seconds, okay. What happens every 90 seconds?
Every 90 seconds, without fail, like clockwork, the crew runs a rapid verbal cross-check. The TCRIC reports key parameters. Position is X, altitude Y, track Z, ground speed A, link SNR is B, battery at C%, geofence is armed. The VOS then report sector clear or provide any new traffic reports, and importantly add their sun glare status. Are they having visibility issues? Then the mission commander, MC, if applicable, reports on any changes. Airspace clear, no new NOTAMs, weather holding steady.
This sounds like a simple, almost routine habit, but executing that consistently, that's gold for examiners, I bet, and clearly vital for real-world safety. It forces active engagement from everyone.
It absolutely is gold. It forces active monitoring, catches those slow, insidious drifts, like unexpected battery sag or a subtle wind shift affecting ground speed, and acts as a dynamic check-in for the entire crew. It ensures everyone is actively engaged with the evolving operational picture, not just passively watching a screen.
So implementing these multi-crew disciplines, the standard phraseology like TDA, the mandatory readbacks, the formal closed-loop handovers, and this 90-second SA cadence, it's not just good practice. It sounds like a mandatory cultural shift for safe BVLOS operations.
That's exactly what it is. It's how you institutionalize discipline to do the right thing consistently, especially under stress. It's about preventing incidents before they even have a chance to begin.
The core challenge of BVLOS is right there in the name, beyond visual line of sight. If you can't see your drone and you can't always see the airspace around it with your own two eyes from the ground, how do you reliably avoid other aircraft, especially manned aircraft that might not see you? This is where detect and avoid, or DAA, comes in, and it's absolutely fundamental to making BVLOS safe.
DAA is your primary defense against mid-air collisions in BVLOS operations. It's non-negotiable. But it's important to understand it's not usually a single magic technology. It's a holistic, integrated system.
A system, okay. What does that system include?
It can combine various elements, onboard sensors like radar, ADS-B in, predefined flight procedures and contingency plans, robust communication links, electronic geobarriers, and crucially, highly trained human observers. When human observers are specifically integrated into this DA system, providing active surveillance and reporting according to defined procedures, we refer to that specific implementation as VODA or VOSDA.
VOSDA, so the visual observer becomes a formal part of the detection system.
Exactly. It's a critical human systems integration piece that ties directly into everything we've just discussed about crew discipline, training, and standard procedures.
Is there official guidance on this?
Yes, Transport Canada's Advisory Circular AC 922001 specifically discusses DAA concepts and this human systems integration aspect. It highlights critical human factors like managing observer workload, accounting for communication latency, and ensuring clear communication protocols, things that must be meticulously managed for VOTO-A to be effective.
So for VOTO-A, it's not just sticking someone out there with binoculars.
Definitely not. It means precisely defining VO search sectors, establishing specific, rehearsed scan patterns for observers to follow, and setting clear, unambiguous call triggers for when an observation requires immediate action versus just monitoring. It's a human system that needs rigorous training, regular proficiency checks, and clear evidence of effectiveness, all documented meticulously in your RPOC.
You have to be able to demonstrate its reliability.
Exactly. You need to prove how your VOTO-A system integrates into your overall safety management system. DAA isn't optional, it's absolutely fundamental. Whether it's through cutting-edge technology, highly trained human observers acting as VOTO-A, or likely a combination of both, you need a reliable, proven system to detect and avoid other traffic. This is precisely where your RPOC documentation, your training records, and your standard operating procedures prove their critical value.
This is where the human factors angle really hits home for me again. Our sources repeatedly mention the latency chain and the critical concept of why triggers beat debates. What's going on here, and why is this concept so vital for BVLOS safety, especially when you're dealing potentially with fast-moving manned aircraft sharing the airspace?
The latency chain is the Achilles heel, the fundamental weakness of any human-in-the-loop DAA system, especially when dealing with the closure rates of manned aircraft traffic.
Okay, what is the latency chain?
It's the cumulative time delay. It starts from the very moment a visual observer, VO, detects potential traffic, to the time it takes them to process that, formulate a call, and transmit that information via radio, to the time the piloting command, PIC, receives and processes that information, makes a decision, input the command, and then the time it takes to the aircraft to actually respond and execute that maneuver.
Wow, okay. Detect, transmit, receive, decide, execute. That sounds like it could add up quickly.
It adds up incredibly quickly. This entire chain VO detects, the VO transmits, IMO pilot receives, decides. Aircraft maneuvers can precious seconds. Maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe more, depending on the situation and crew proficiency.
And seconds matter a lot at aircraft speeds.
Immensely. When you consider the closure rate of a manned aircraft, even a relatively slow one flying at, say, 90 knots, that cumulative time delay can easily exceed the time available to safely avoid a collision, especially if the detected traffic is already close or converging quickly.
Our sources mentioned a scary statistic. If an uncorrelated aircraft could close 2 nm in just 60-90 seconds, your reaction chain needs to be virtually instantaneous. There's basically no margin for error or slow communication in that scenario.
It truly is an incredibly tight window in some encounters. So how do you beat this potentially fatal latency chain? The solution lies in pre-authorized triggers and a named escape profile.
Pre-authorized triggers, you're saying you pre-decide the specific action before the traffic is even detected, rather than waiting to discuss it or figure it out in the heat of the moment? That seems almost robotic.
Precisely. It might sound counterintuitive or robotic, but it's a life-saving principle based on understanding human limitations under pressure. Your standard operating procedures, SOPs, must pre-brief immediate automatic escape actions based on clear triggers.
Give me an example of a trigger.
Okay, a predefined trigger in your SOP might be any uncorrelated air traffic detected visually or electronically within 2 nm horizontally, and D, within plus 500 feet vertically of our aircraft's altitude, equals an immediate turn to the pre-briefed escape heading and a potential altitude change. No debate on the air.
Wow. So the VO calls traffic, 2 o'clock, 1.8 nm, same altitude, and the pilot just executes the pre-planned turn immediately.
Immediately. No discussion like, are you sure? Or what kind of plane is it? Or should we wait and see? The trigger is met. The action is executed. This removes the decision-making latency entirely, taking the guesswork and the potential for hesitation out of a high-stress moment.
So triggers beat debates. We act at the threshold, not after a discussion. That's a really powerful one-liner and a critical operational principle. It sounds like the kind of thing you drill constantly in training.
It is a life-saving principle, and articulating it clearly demonstrates you understand the crucial human factors emphasis in Transport Canada's guidance and AC 922001. You act decisively at the threshold of the potential threat, not after protracted discussion or ambiguity.
This is a critical human factors consideration in your flight planning, then. Your pre-mission briefings must include these predefined triggers and named escape headings to ensure rapid, decisive action, effectively shortening that dangerous latency chain and maximizing safety.
It's about proactive prevention through procedure, not relying on reactive improvisation under pressure. That's professional BVLOS.
Okay, we've talked about avoiding other aircraft, but what about environmental factors? Our sources say you should treat glare, birds, and dust like weather. What does that mean for BVLOS operations, where our visual input, especially from VOs, is already so critical and potentially compromised? They sound like minor nuisances, but I'm guessing they're not treated that way.
You're right. They're far from minor nuisances in a avoid context. It means there are significant degradants to visual performance and overall operational safety. Just as you meticulously brief for wind, ceiling, and precipitation, you must proactively brief for and implement robust mitigations for these environmental challenges.
Why? Because they affect the VO's ability to see.
Exactly. They can severely impact a visual observer's ability to detect hazards, other aircraft, obstacles, even the drone itself sometimes. And if your VOTA system's primary sensor, the human eye, is compromised, so is your entire safety case for seeing and avoiding.
Okay, so what are the specific mitigation strategies? Let's start with glare. Sun glare seems like a big one for VOs.
Glare is huge. You must brief expected glare zones and sun angles during pre-flight planning based on the time of day and route. To combat observer fatigue and maintain detection quality, you should plan to rotate visual observers frequently, maybe every 20-30 minutes, especially in high sun or low contrast conditions where eye strain is high.
Rotate VOs, okay.
It's also mandatory, or should be in your procedures, to ensure VOs use high-quality polarized eyewear. And critically, if visual contact with the required airspace sector becomes intermittent due to glare, the procedure must be to hold the aircraft immediately.
Stop the mission.
Pause forward progress. Hold the aircraft's position, maybe descend or adjust the route slightly to reduce the glare bearing relative to the VO, potentially swap VOs if rotation is due, rebrief the new situation, and then, only then, resume the mission once clear visual scanning is reestablished.
So if the VO effectively says, I can't see my sector clearly because of glare, you stop the mission until that visual picture is reliably restored. Unknown equals hazard. Makes perfect sense. You have to stabilize the situational awareness before continuing.
Exactly. You never press on into uncertainty when relying on visual detection. Next up, birds, or as the sources call them, non-cooperative traffic.
Right. Birds don't file flight plans or talk to ATC. They seem like a unique and often underestimated challenge for drones.
They really are. Birds are unpredictable, non-cooperative targets. They won't show up on most electronic DAA systems or telemetry, so human eyes, your VOs, are paramount for detecting them.
What's the action if a VO spots a large bird or flock near the drone's path?
The standard action should be immediate. Reduce speed, offset your flight path laterally, or change altitude to create separation. The VO must then confirm the airspace is clear of the hazard before resuming the original track and speed. You treat them like any other potential collision risk.
Okay. And finally, dust, haze, or low contrast conditions, similar to glare.
Very similar in effect. These conditions also degrade visual performance for the VOs. Mitigations here are similar to glare. Planned VO rotations to combat eye strain, maybe specific scan patterns that account for the sun angle or visibility limitations, and definitely holding the aircraft if visual cues become compromised or detection distances are significantly reduced.
So again, if visibility for the VO degrades significantly due to haze or dust, you hold or reposition. You don't press into obscurance hoping for the best.
Never. Proactive planning for these environmental factors, rather than merely reacting to them when they become a problem, is a hallmark of a safe, professional BVLOS operator.
Yeah.
You need to incorporate these mitigations into your pre-flight briefings and document them in your operations manual. It shows true professionalism and risk awareness.
Okay, another potential nightmare scenario. The lost link. Losing the command and control connection with your aircraft, especially when it's miles away in BVLOS conditions. That sounds terrifying. But our sources say you need a script for this, ready on your tongue. Why is having a pre-planned script so crucial, especially given the intense stress of that moment?
Lost link is arguably the ultimate high-stress, time-critical emergency in drone operations. A pre-briefed verbatim script, combined with a predetermined named fail-safe profile for the aircraft, ensures that the entire crew executes the correct procedures immediately and without hesitation.
Why verbatim?
Because it prevents cognitive tunneling under stress. That's where your focus narrows so intensely on the immediate problem, the lost link alarm, that you might forget secondary actions or miss crucial information from other crew members. It maintains crew coordination and ensures closed-loop communications precisely when stress levels are highest and clear thinking is hardest. You need to act automatically based on training without having to invent the procedure on the fly.
Okay, so what would that lost link script sound like? Give us some example.
The lost link script should be spoken verbatim by the PIC, clearly and concisely as soon as the condition is confirmed, for example.
Lost link executing profile name, e.g. RTH profile Charlie, VOS immediately respond, sector, clear, clear, or they report any conflicting traffic if seen in their sector. MC, mission commander, if applicable, timer on, confirming geofence armed, payload commanded safe.
So everyone knows exactly what the aircraft should be doing based on Profile Charlie.
Exactly. Profile Charlie, for instance, might be a pre-programmed fail-safe sequence like immediately climb 50 feet for obstacle clearance, turn to predefined emergency escape corridor heading, fly return to home RTH procedure at 300 AGL. Everyone on the crew knows precisely what the aircraft is programmed to do autonomously and what their specific supporting role is during this emergency, like keeping the airspace clear.
What's the goal after initiating the lost link procedure?
The goal is either to reestablish the link and stabilize the situation, allowing you to potentially continue the mission after assessment, or to allow the aircraft to complete its fail-safe RTH or landing procedure safely, terminating the flight. In either case, the event must be thoroughly logged for post-mission quality assurance and safety assurance analysis. You need to understand why it happened.
This really highlights the absolute importance of procedural DAA having the Plan B built in and clear rehearsed communication protocols. Having a named fail-safe profile with a spoken script makes those critical closed-loop communications under extreme stress almost automatic, significantly improving safety outcomes.
That's the goal. Automatic, correct, coordinated response under pressure.
One last tool here, first-person view, or FPV. It seems like such a natural fit for BVLOS, doesn't it? You're essentially seeing exactly what the drone sees through a camera. But our sources have a very specific, strong warning about relying solely on FPV in this context. What is it, and what's the trap here?
FPV is indeed a valuable supplemental tool in the BVLOS toolbox. It's particularly useful for things like precise payload operation, lining up a sensor, maybe navigating complex structures at close range, or simply enhancing the pilot's subjective awareness of the drone's immediate surroundings.
There's a big but.
There's a huge but, and this is critical. FPV never substitutes for the comprehensive airspace picture provided by VODA or other approved DAA systems for the purpose of traffic separation. This is a common trap question in exams and a truly critical concept for real-world operational safety. FTV is an enhancement, not a replacement for seeing the airspace.
So you're saying you absolutely cannot rely on FPV alone for see and avoid regarding other aircraft in the wider airspace, even in BVLOS. The regulations back this up.
Absolutely. In fact, CRR 901.38 still requires a visual observer to maintain unaided visual contact on the surrounding airspace when FPV is being used by the pilot, even within visual line of sight operations. The principle extends directly to BVLOS VODA. FPV in BVLOS is a complex integration challenge, not a simple solution for DOA.
Why is relying only on FPV so dangerous for airspace awareness?
Because FPV, while immersive, carries a significant risk of cognitive tunneling or attentional narrowing. Imagine looking through a cardboard tube. Your focus is laser sharp on what the camera sees directly ahead, but you can entirely miss critical hazards approaching from the sides, above, or below in the wider airspace.
You lose peripheral vision, essentially.
Exactly. Airspace deconfliction needs that broader, panoramic perspective provided by a scanning VO or a dedicated DAA system, not just a camera view that's likely optimized for the drone's specific mission task, like looking down at the ground.
So the correct action, the safe procedure, is
always maintain your primary DAA system, whether that's VODAA with disciplined observers or electronic means. FPV is only for specific payload or precision maneuvering tasks. It is not your primary see and avoid tool for other air traffic. Don't fall for the FPV temptation as a DAA replacement. It's a useful supplemental tool, but not a substitute for comprehensive DAA and vigilant human observers scanning the wider environment. Always ensure your primary airspace awareness comes from your approved multi-layered mitigations.
Okay, we've covered a massive amount of crucial operational detail, from the legal dates and definitions to the nitty-gritty of human factors in DAA. But for many people listening, this entire journey starts with passing an exam, maybe the Level 1 complex written test or the flight review. And for an operator, it means getting that RPOC application approved by Transport Canada. What's the mindset you need to approach this, whether you're facing an oral exam with a flight reviewer or meticulously submitting your documentation?
That's a great question, because the mindset matters hugely. When it comes to your RPOC application and any subsequent oral exams or flight reviews, you absolutely need what our sources call an evidence mindset.
Evidence mindset. What does that mean?
It means not just having procedures, but being able consistently to prove them. Examiners and inspectors want to see concrete evidence that your theoretical knowledge translates directly into documented, actionable processes that are not only written down in a manual, but are actually implemented, practiced, understood, and followed by everyone within your organization. It's about demonstrating real competence and a working safety system, not just reciting rules.
Okay, so if an examiner asks you to prove how you handle, say, VO handovers, what kind of answer are they looking for?
Your answer should immediately and clearly reference your specific documentation and training records. You'd say something concrete like, we detail this handover procedure in our operations manual, specifically in section 4.2, which covers roles, standard phraseology, and the closed-loop communication steps.
Point to the manual.
Exactly. Or you might say, we demonstrate VO proficiency through our training records and documented proficiency checks, which we conduct biannually as per section 6.1 of our training manual. You could also mention, we practice DAA drills in complex scenarios, including traffic conflicts and lost link, during our recurrent training sessions, and these are documented in our training logs. And finally, maybe add, our post-mission quality assurance and safety assurance logs provide tangible evidence of how we review performance, identify issues, and ensure continuous improvement based on adherence to these procedures.
So it's really not enough to just say you will do something safely.
Yeah.
You need to be able to instantly point to the evidence, show that it's documented, that your team is trained on it, that it's consistently applied in operations and regularly reviewed for effectiveness.
That's it, exactly.
It's about demonstrating a holistic, living safety management system, not just a static set of rules collecting dust.
Precisely. Transport Canada expects your ops manual, your training program, your records, and your procedures to be proportional to your operations, yes, but to form a cohesive and robust safety management system. Demonstrating this builds their confidence in your overall safety culture.
This proactive, evidence-based approach, then, will not only help you ace your exams and get your RPOC approved, but also build a genuinely robust and compliant BVLOS operation in the long run.
Absolutely. Your RPOC isn't just a document you file away, it's a testament to your organization's unwavering commitment to safety, and it needs to reflect that in every detail, ready for inspection at any time.
Our sources offer some really fantastic practical tips for exam day itself, especially for the oral exams or flight reviews. It's almost like a mini checklist, a ritual to calm your nerves and ensure you hit all the critical points right off the bat, leaving nothing to chance. These sound like techniques to really shine under pressure.
They are. These are high signal points that demonstrate comprehensive understanding right from the start. Practicing these ritual elements ensures you can articulate the core tenets of safe BVLOS operations effectively, clearly, and concisely, especially when you're under the stress of an evaluation. It's about structuring your thought process so the right information is immediately accessible, even with nerves.
Okay, what's this day of exam ritual? How does it work?
It's something you can run through quickly, maybe even in your head, in the first minute or two of an oral exam or the pre-flight briefing for a review. It quickly establishes your baseline knowledge on the absolute essentials. First, quickly recite the key dates to yourself or out loud if appropriate. April 1st, 2025 for exams RPOC applications, November 4th, 2025 for operations to go live. Shows you know the timeline. Second, clearly state the core limits for the operation type. Level 1 BVLOS requires uncontrolled airspace, maximum 400 feet AGL, and strict population standoff rules. Shows you know the operational box. Third, mentally list your essential mantras or mnemonics. ANOP, airspace, NOTAMs, observers, plan B, TDA, traffic, distance altitude action, IMSAFE plus H, and the 90-second SA cadence. Shows you know the core procedures. Fourth, have a powerful one-sentence summary on latency. Trigger-based DAA beats human latency. We act at the threshold, not after a debate. Shows you understand the key human factor risk. Fourth, have a powerful one-sentence summary on latency. And finally, perhaps perform one loss link script example out loud quickly. Loss linked executing RF profile Charlie. Shows emergency procedures.
That's a really powerful way to start an exam or review. It instantly shows the examiner you've got the core facts locked in and a real command of the key operational principles. You're setting the stage for success right away.
Absolutely. It builds confidence, yours and the examiner's. Beyond that initial ritual, having a mental 10-line oral template can be incredibly helpful. You can plug almost any complex scenario question into this template to ensure you provide a comprehensive, structured answer.
A template. Okay, what are the 10 lines? It goes roughly like this. 1, confirm date legality. Am I allowed to do this today based on the two-phase 2025 rollout? 2, state the operational category. Is this BVLOS level 1 BVLOS or does it actually require an SOC? 3, declare the specific airspace altitude population limits that apply to this operation. 4, cite the DHVNC and OTAMs check for pre-flight SA for this route. 5, confirm crew fitness. We used CARS 901.19 MSAFE plus H. 6, describe the VO layout. How are sectors assigned? Rotation plan, glare mitigation. 7, quote the standard TDA phraseology plus mandatory readbacks used for communications. 8, know the specific DA trigger and the pre-briefed escape heading for this mission. 9, outline the aircraft's loss link profile and the crew's verbatim script. 10, add your hold policy for any ambiguity or uncertainty plus confirm a plan to debrief log the mission afterwards. Wow, that template provides such a structured way to attack complex scenario questions. It ensures you cover all the critical bases, legal, procedural, human factors, emergency prep, and likely score maximum points, even if maybe a minor detail or two feels fuzzy in the moment under pressure.
Exactly. It helps organize your thoughts and ensures you hit all the key safety and regulatory points systematically.
These tools, the ritual, the template, they sound invaluable for exam preparation. They distill that vast amount of complex information into easily digestible and recallable chunks, helping you perform confidently when it matters most.
They're definitely effective strategies for demonstrating competence clearly.
Beyond the ritual and the templates, our sources were absolutely packed with fantastic mnemonics and what they called field phases, those quick one-liners that not only make you sound like a seasoned pro, but more importantly, serve as cognitive shortcuts to trigger correct actions even under intense pressure. Let's run through some of the must-knows you've mentioned.
Mnemonics are incredibly powerful memory aids, especially when you're stressed or task-saturated. And these phrases aren't just clever tricks for exams. When adopted by a crew, they genuinely embed a crucial culture of safety and discipline into real-world operations by providing instant, clear guidance. They become second nature, shared language.
Okay, give us the SNAP mnemonics again.
The key ones to have locked in are:
for pre-flight SA checks, airspace from DAH, NOTAMs observers, setup and briefing. Plan B, your escape plan. Help structure your briefing flow.
for VO traffic calls, traffic, clock position type, distance altitude action, suggested escape, ensures concise, actionable reports.
For crew fitness check, illness, medication, stress, alcohol, 12 rule, fatigue, hydration, food. The comprehensive self-assessment.
ANOP, TDA, MSAFE plus H. Got it. And what about those powerful drop-in one-liners, the phrases that show deep understanding?
Right, these are great for concisely explaining the why behind procedures in answers or discussions. We run a 90-second essay cadence, so quiet legs don't erode our situational awareness, explains the cadence purpose. Our trigger-based DAA beats human latency. We act at the threshold, not after a debate, explains proactive DAA philosophy. Closed-loop handovers only. Transfer, accept, log, and never during a critical maneuver. Summarizes safe handover practice. We treat glare, dust, and birds just like adverse weather. They require briefed mitigations and planned VO rotations. Shows awareness of environmental degradants. Unknown equals hazard in BVLOS. We hold or execute our escape, then methodically rebuild the picture before proceeding. States your conservative default action.
These are much more than just clever phrases. They really are condensed operational wisdom. They encapsulate key principles for operating safely and effectively, providing immediate, actionable guidance in dynamic situations.
Exactly. Memorizing and, more importantly, practicing these will not only boost your exam performance, but will genuinely reinforce crucial safety behaviors in your actual operations, making them intuitive for the whole crew. They provide clear, unambiguous guidance in potentially confusing situations.
The best way to solidify all this knowledge, of course, beyond memorizing mnemonics, is through real-world examples and scenario-based learning. Our sources provide some excellent scenarios that truly bring these concepts to life, making them tangible. Let's look at a few that highlight common challenges and the expected professional responses.
Scenario-based learning is absolutely invaluable. I can't stress that enough. It forces critical thinking and the direct application of principles under simulated pressure, effectively bridging that crucial gap between dry theory and practical operational readiness. It's how you train your brain and your crew's collective brain to react correctly, almost instinctively, before you face these situations for real when the stakes are high.
Okay, let's take scenario 1, a rural pipeline patrol focusing on latency and triggers.
Okay, setup. Imagine you're flying Level 1 Complex BVLOS, approved route over Class G corridor. It's a 35-kilometer linear inspection using a 6-kilogram multi-rotor, cruising nicely below 400 feet AGL. You have 2 VOs, east and west. During flight, your VO east calls using perfect TDA format. Traffic, 3 o'clock relative to drone, estimated 2.5 NM, looks like 650 AGL. Westbound recommend immediate right turn heading 090, descend 300 feet. Action. The PIC, having pre-briefed triggers and escapes, immediately responds and executes. Copy, right 090, descend 300 executing now. The mission commander, if present, might confirm maneuver initiated and immediately restart the 90-second SA cadence to maintain vigilance during the deviation. Exam hook debrief point. Your answer or justification would emphasize our pre-authorized trigger, 4E, 2 NM of 500 feet, was nearly met, so the recommended action was executed immediately per SOPs. This beats the latency chain. Standard phraseology ensured clear, actionable communication.
Perfect. Scenario 2, dealing with a pop-up wildfire NOTAM, testing discipline.
Right. Scenario. You're mid-mission, maybe halfway along that pipeline route. Suddenly, your ground support or dispatch flags a brand new NOTAM that just popped up for an active air tanker operation box directly ahead, right in your planned flight path. Action. The MC or PIC immediately calls. Clouds established loiter pattern now, the PIC confirms, holding at waypoint 7. The entire team then ceases forward progress, pulls up the NOTAM details, carefully plots the restricted area, and replans the route with a conservative buffer, maybe 3 NM, around the NOTAM boundary. They update the flight plan, rebrief any new triggers or escape headings for the revised route, and only resume the mission once the new plan is confirmed safe and compliant. Exam hook debrief point. We treat all new, unexpected NOTAM pop-ups as an immediate hold plus rebrief event. We will not attempt to thread the needle or skirt the edge of restricted airspace. We establish a safe buffer, replan, and then resume. Safety and compliance over schedule.
Excellent discipline. Scenario 3, handling sun glare and VO fatigue, focusing on proactive mitigation.
Okay. Scenario. It's an afternoon BVLOS flight, maybe over snow or water, creating high albedo reflectivity, and the heat is rising. Your VO South, who's been scanning into the sun quadrant, calls. POS, be advised, glare is significantly increasing in my sector. Visual detection becoming intermittent. I can't guarantee continuous scan quality. Action. The PO immediately responds. Copy. Hold position now. Descending to 240 AGL to potentially change viewing angle. Adjusting route slightly eastbound to reduce glare bearing on VO South. Simultaneously, the MC might direct a VO rotation if one is due soon anyway. The crew swaps the affected VO with a fresh observer, ensures the new VO is fully briefed on the current situation in sector, confirms the glare issue is mitigated for the new observer, and only then resumes the mission. Exam hook debrief point. We treat glare as a significant visual degradant, just like adverse weather. Our SOPs mandate proactive VO rotations, use of polarized PPE, and route altitude adjustments as mitigation. If visual scanning becomes intermittent for any reason, the procedure is to hold, mitigate, rebrief, and then resume.
Great example. Last one, scenario 4. An ambiguous traffic report dealing with uncertainty and using conservative defaults.
This happens. Scenario. Your VOS thinks they might see a small, slow-moving aircraft, maybe a gyroplane or ultralight, very far out on the horizon, but the description is uncertain due to distance and haze. Maybe VOEs report seeing nothing in that area. There's no corresponding electronic traffic showing up on your DAA display or telemetry feed. Uncertainty reigns. Action. The PSE immediately takes conservative action. Okay, hold current track 070 at 250 AGL. The MC requests immediate dual source verification. VO West, VO East, both sweep sector bearing range payload operator, attempt optical zoom verification. If the target cannot be positively identified as benign after these checks, or if it continues to close, the POS executes a pre-briefed escape maneuver away from the uncertain contact as a precaution. Exam hook debrief point. For ambiguous reports, our procedure is hold plus attempt dual source confirmation. If the contact cannot be positively identified or its intentions remain unclear, unknown equals hazard. We default to conservative action, executing an escape maneuver to ensure separation, then reassess.
These scenarios really drive home that these regulations and procedures aren't just abstract rules on paper. They're practical frameworks for making critical real-time decisions in complex, sometimes ambiguous environments. Practicing these kinds of scenarios, thinking them through, will embed the right responses and thought processes for safe operations.
Absolutely. It's about building that judgment and procedural muscle memory, not just for the exam, but for genuine, confident operational readiness when you're out there doing it for real.
So we've gone incredibly deep into the regulations, the operational requirements, the human factors that are so critical. Now, the really practical question for someone starting out: how do you actually acquire all this knowledge and, maybe more importantly, the practical skills to perform these demanding operations safely and effectively? Should you just try to, wing it with online resources, maybe watch a bunch of YouTube videos?
Well, while self-study, especially with the vast amount of online resources available today, YouTube, forums, even AI tools, is certainly a valid way to acquire theoretical knowledge.
You can learn a lot online.
You can, but structured training from a reputable provider offers significant, almost indispensable advantages, particularly for complex, high-consequence operations like BVLOS, where safety is absolutely paramount and mistakes can be costly. It's really about accelerating the learning curve efficiently and, crucially, gaining practical, real-world insights that you often just can't get from reading a document or watching a video alone.
So what are the specific advantages of structured training, based on what our sources, like training academies, say?
Leading training academies, like Altex Academy mentioned in our sources, highlight several key advantages. Firstly, structured training demonstrably speeds up the learning curve. It provides a curated, logical curriculum and direct instruction from experienced experts, rather than you having to sift through potentially disparate, maybe even outdated or incorrect information online trying to piece it all together yourself.
Saves time, reduces confusion.
Exactly. Secondly, you gain direct access to invaluable instructor experience. This allows you to learn directly from seasoned professionals who can share real-world experiences, nuanced insights, tips, and maybe even war stories about things that went wrong, lessons you definitely won't find in a textbook or regulation.
Learning from others' mistakes.
Ideally, yes. Thirdly, this is absolutely critical in the rapidly evolving drone industry, where technology, software, and regulations change frequently. Good structured programs are designed to stay current, providing you with the most up-to-date information and techniques. And finally, from a business perspective, good training can significantly improve operational efficiency and profitability. It helps you streamline processes, reduce risks that could lead to costly incidents, and potentially explore new client bases and revenue streams for advanced BVLOS services.
It really sounds like structured training isn't just about getting the certificate. It's a serious investment in gaining a competitive edge, significantly reducing operational risk, and truly understanding the nuances of these complex flights, which, like you said, could save you a lot of headache, maybe even your business down the line.
Exactly. It's truly an investment in both safety and your operational future. You really need to evaluate your own experience objectively. If you happen to have extensive prior simulated or actual BVLOS experience, maybe from military or other professional contexts, you might be in a position to challenge the flight review directly.
But for most people,
starting out in commercial BVLOS, structured training provides a vital framework, accelerated learning, and essential hands-on practice to bridge that gap between theoretical knowledge and practical, real-world application. Crucially, it builds justifiable confidence.
one element consistently highlighted in all our sources, regardless of training approach, is the critical role of simulation and hands-on practical flight training. Why is simulation in particular so crucial for BVLOS, especially since you won't actually be seeing your drone directly during operations? It almost seems counterintuitive at first glance why practice not seeing it.
Simulation is considered a non-negotiable prerequisite for effective BVLOS training by most experts. It's absolutely essential. It's about immersing yourself safely in the unique BVLOS operating environment before you conduct actual flights with real-world risks.
What's the key experience you gain in simulation?
It's especially important for gaining that crucial experience of operating solely based on instruments, telemetry data, and crew communication without having direct visual line of sight to the aircraft. This builds critical confidence in your systems and your procedures and develops the necessary mental muscle memory in an environment where your primary eyes are now your instruments, your map displays, and your crew's verbal reports. You're fundamentally learning to trust the data stream, not just your own sight.
Okay, so what are the specific benefits simulation offers?
The benefits of good BVLOS simulation are numerous and profound. It allows for backseat observation, where students can observe a simulated drone operation exactly as it's carried out from a remote ground control station perspective, viewing the fleet management systems, the live video feeds, the mission maps, the telemetry, just as they would in a real BVLOS operations center.
See it from the operator's chair.
Exactly. You can also practice actively with virtual controls, executing complex automated missions, responding to on-demand operational changes, or handling critical emergency scenarios like lost link, return-to-home procedures, all virtually, without any physical risk to equipment or people.
Practice emergencies safely.
Absolutely vital. This builds immense confidence, helping pilots make that difficult mental transition from VLOS, where they always see the drone, to BVLOS, where they rely solely on system information and precise crew communication. And importantly, good simulation platforms allow missions to be tailored to your specific intended operations, whether that's long-range pipeline surveying, nighttime security patrols, or large area asset inspection, making the training highly relevant and immediately applicable.
So it really is about getting used to the system's view of the drone and its environment, not just the traditional eyeball view from the ground, and truly learning to interpret and trust the various data points you'll be relying on. Then, presumably, the in-person practical flight training solidifies that simulation learning with real-world application, integrating the entire crew pilot, VOs, maybe MC, into that operational flow with actual hardware.
That's precisely the ideal progression. Don't underestimate the significant mental shift required for BVLOS. Simulation provides the safe space to make that shift, and practical training then validates it in the real world. Both are essential to develop the confidence, the muscle memory, and the operational fluency needed for safe, effective remote operations. It's about methodically training your brain and your team for a completely new reality of flight.
So if you are looking for a training program to get you certified and competent for Level 1 complex BVLOS, what specific things should you keep in mind when evaluating providers? What really sets a good, high-quality BVLOS program apart, given the inherent complexity and the fact that this training often takes multiple days?
That's a crucial question, because the quality of training can vary significantly. Given the complexity, the safety implications, and the multi-day nature of effective BVLOS training, several factors are absolutely paramount to ensure you're getting comprehensive, high-quality instruction that prepares you not just for the exam, but for demanding, real-world operations. This isn't just about getting a certificate. It's about building a capable, safety-conscious operator or operation.
Okay, give us a checklist. What should people look for?
Firstly, look for robust training management and admin support, especially for multi-day courses. This means dedicated teams handling scheduling, logistical coordination, especially if your team is traveling, planning for weather contingencies, managing credentialing paperwork efficiently, and ensuring smooth equipment setup and availability. These admin details seem small, but they can make a huge difference to the learning experience.
Good support behind the scenes. Makes sense.
Secondly, ensure there's ample, meaningful simulation access. You should either participate in realistic BVLOS simulation exercises on the training facility systems, or perhaps be guided on how to effectively self-simulate using your own organization's enterprise systems, if applicable. This simulation component is a vital preparation step, a foundational piece, not just a quick demo.
Okay. What about class size?
Critically important, pay close attention to the instructor-to-equipment-to-student ratio. Ideally, you should seek programs with a maximum of 2 students per instructor and per drone system being used for practical exercises.
2-to-1 max. Why is that so important?
This ensures sufficient individual attention from the instructor and, critically, enough hands-on flight time or simulation control time for each student, especially when dealing with complex enterprise-grade equipment and software. Having more students per drone means significantly less hands-on time for you, which drastically reduces the practical learning value. 10 pilots sharing 1 drone system for a day is not effective training.
Good point. What else?
Fourthly, consider the actual training facilities. Do they offer dedicated, quiet classrooms for theory? Are the practical flight areas private and suitable for complex exercises versus trying to learn in a busy public park with constant distractions? Is there reliable power access for ground stations, adequate shelter, and other amenities that genuinely enhance the learning environment?
The learning environment matters.
It does. And finally, and perhaps most importantly for long-term success, actively inquire about post-training support. A truly successful program extends its value far beyond just certification day. Look for schools offering things like continuous online program access so you can review modules later, documented support of structured programs for building those critical initial flight hours. Remember, many aim for at least 10 hours post-certification for true competency, and maybe even ongoing access to facilities or specialized enterprise-grade equipment to practice with, especially if you don't own it yet.
It really sounds like it's not just about passing the test. It's about being supported in that crucial beginning phase of your journey, transforming from a newly certified pilot into a truly competent and confident BVLOS operator well after the initial certificate is in hand.
That's the goal of high-quality training.
This checklist seems really useful. It empowers you, the listener, to choose a training program that will not only get you certified, but also build the practical skills, the confidence, and the ongoing support network needed for genuine, sustainable success in the demanding world of BVLOS.
Choosing the right training partner is a significant decision. Due diligence is key.
It's abundantly clear, then, that getting the certificate, whether it's the pilot certificate or the RPOC for the organization, really isn't the finish line. It feels much more like just the starting gun firing. What happens after you're certified? How do you realistically bridge that gap from simply having the knowledge on paper to being genuinely competent, consistently safe, and operationally proficient in such an advanced domain like BVLOS?
That's exactly right. Certification marks the successful acquisition of initial knowledge and passing a baseline standard. But true competency, particularly in something as complex and dynamic as BVLOS, is forged primarily through practical experience, continuous learning, and refinement over time. Post-training support, whether formal or informal, is absolutely critical for effectively bridging that gap between knowing the rules and intuitively applying them under pressure. It's where the rubber truly meets the road.
How important is just getting flight hours, practicing?
Immensely important. Many leading training facilities, for instance, actively aim to support their graduates in accumulating at least 10 hours of actual BVLOS flight time relatively soon post-certification, often through structured mentorship or practice programs. This isn't an arbitrary number. That initial block of experience is invaluable. It builds crucial muscle memory for procedures, it refines checklist discipline under real-world conditions, and it fundamentally transforms theoretical knowledge learned in the classroom into deeply ingrained, almost automatic skill sets.
It's the difference between knowing what the checklist says and effortlessly doing the checklist correctly every time, even when distracted.
Precisely. It's about turning training knowledge into operational skill set through focused repetition and real-world application, ideally under initial supervision or with structured support available.
So, beyond just logging hours, what other kinds of ongoing support elements should people look for or create for themselves?
Look for things like continuous online program access from your training provider. This allows you to easily go back and review specific modules, procedures, or technical walkthroughs as you plan your own flights or encounter new questions or unfamiliar situations in your real-world operations. Having access to facilities and equipment can also be crucial, especially for practicing with expensive enterprise-grade drones, sensors, or fleet management software that individual pilots or small operators may not own initially. And finally, having access to ongoing troubleshooting and planning assistance from experienced instructors or mentors can be invaluable as you encounter real-world operational challenges, like interpreting complex population density maps for a specific area, navigating tricky airspace requests, or just needing a second opinion on a complex mission plan.
So the key message is, your journey to BVLOS mastery extends far, far beyond just passing an exam. You need to actively seek out or build structures for continued learning and practice.
Absolutely. Seek training providers that offer robust post-certification support, find mentors, join professional networks, and commit to continuous practice and learning to ensure you develop sustained competency and justifiable confidence in this highly advanced but incredibly rewarding operational domain. Hashtag outro.
Wow, what an incredibly deep dive that was into Canada's new drone frontier. We've navigated the intricate landscape of these new regulations. We pinpointed those absolutely critical dates for Level 1 complex BVLOS and EVLOS, and we really drilled down deep into the who, what, where, why, and how of these exciting but demanding new operations.
We covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. From mastering that essential multi-crew discipline and understanding the dangers of the latency chain to learning why you need to treat glare just like critical weather and always having your Lost Link script ready on your tongue. Hopefully, you now feel like you have a comprehensive toolkit to confidently approach this new era of Canadian drone flight.
Indeed. And as drone technology continues its relentless push forward, the regulations will undoubtedly continue to adapt and evolve. The current Level 1 complex framework, as detailed as it is, it's really a foundational step, but it's certainly not the final destination.
What do you see coming next?
What truly stands out to me, looking ahead, is that the future of BVLOS operations will almost certainly involve even sharper, more demanding DA performance requirements, likely relying more on technology, and probably a gradual, stepwise expansion into more complex airspace classifications. This will likely be driven by advancements in RTM and UTM services, the digital infrastructure for managing drone traffic.
So the key takeaway for listeners today, thinking about the future.
For you, the takeaway is crystal clear. Continuous learning is not optional. Rigorous adherence to safety protocols and procedures is paramount. And a deep, ingrained understanding of human factors principles will be your ultimate competitive advantage and, more importantly, the absolute bedrock of safe, sustainable operations in this rapidly evolving landscape. Complacency is the enemy.
Well said. So whether you're actively eyeing that Level 1 complex certificate right now, or maybe refining your existing BVLOS operations, or perhaps just immensely curious about the future of drones and where this is all heading, we sincerely hope this deep dive has given you some incredible insights and practical knowledge to chew on. Keep exploring, keep learning, and above all, fly safe out there. That's a wrap on today's mission, Commander. See above, go beyond, get ahead. For more training, tools, and intel, head to skycommander.ca. If you learned something new, share it, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star debrief.